Alright, so this is how we tap our trees. First, you gotta find a sugar maple. This is a really big old one. And you're gonna wanna go on the south side of the tree. And this is because the sun sets on just a slightly south, and this side of the tree gets more sun, and there's a little bit more sap. Also, when you're deciding where to tap a tree, you wanna look where there's branches. There's a lot of branches coming off of this part. So we're gonna wanna tap somewhere under here. And since we've tapped this tree before, we also wanna look where we've tapped it before. There's going to be a little dead patch around that tap, so you're going to want to move it away a little bit from where you've tapped it before. We don't have that long of a hose, so we're going to want to put it somewhere near the bottom, and then this will drain into a bucket. And when tapping the tree, it's important to keep a very straight, and you want it tilted down a little bit, very straight. That way the tap will fit in there tight without wobbling, and no sap will leak out. Also, we use a 5/16, but that varies a little bit depending on the size of the tap. So I'm going to go right in here. It's under some branches, under this root, so there's probably going to be a lot of sap flowing through this area. You want to go about 1.5 inches through. We have a little bit of a mark here. And back through one more time just to clean it out a little bit. Don't want to wobble around, make the hole bigger than it should be, because then the tap won't fit in there super tight. It's a little bit dirty. Let me do this one more time. Alright, and we see that this tree's already dripping a little bit. That's a really good sign. Next, we're going to just pound the tap in. Normally only pound the tap in just a little bit over 1/2 inch, not too far. That should be good right there. It normally doesn't go in any deeper than it should. I'll use this bucket, and then we'll just set this up, put the holes through the hole we already have drilled in. I find this to work a lot. Some people put a hole in the lid of the bucket. I think then sometimes rainwater will collect on there and then drain in through that hole, and then you get rainwater sap. I don't like that very much. This is kind of a flatter spot. We can put it here, and then we maybe set the concrete bricks around it just so it doesn't wobble around if the wind ever does blow. So that's step number 1. Alright, so this is our homemade boiler. So once we collect the sap, we'll store it in these big metal containers over here. It normally stays pretty cold. You normally want to keep it in the shade, but it's still pretty cold out. You want to keep the sap cold when it's not boiling. Then we come over here, we pour it in this pan, which is sitting right basically on top of the fire that we have going inside. We use this. It's draining out. You probably can't see very well, but it's draining out a little bit of sap here. This is full of sap, and that way it keeps the boil going without having it get too low. It also helps preheat the sap before it starts boiling, so it's a little bit easier on the process, speeds it up. As it boils, we'll also collect foam and any dirt, debris, twigs and stuff that get collected in there. And once this gets sort of a light brown color, starts looking a little syrupy, we'll pour it off into a pot and then finish it off inside on our stove in the house, just so it's easier to control inside. And that's the whole process.